I was a paparazzi in Hollywood for 8 years, from 2002 to 2010. During that time, some celebrities treated me like crap, while others could not have been nicer. Some were moody and unpredictable. I've kept my mouth shut for years. Now I'm here to give you my honest opinion on which celebrities suck and which celebrities are awesome. These are my stories of the good, the bad, and the unpredictable of Hollywood.
Hey guys, today's episode is all about Drew Barrymore. Drew falls into the category of unpredictable and moody. Now when I say Drew was moody, I don't necessarily mean that as a bad thing. There are plenty of nice people out there that are sometimes moody or just having a bad day. If I were a celebrity and constantly getting my photo taken, I'm sure the camera would catch me being moody on certain days. And Drew has been in the spotlight since she was like 5 years old. So let's keep that in mind as we watch this episode. Now today's episode is about Drew's moodiness, also about her love life, and the night she fought for gay rights. Let's check out Drew Barrymore, Late Nights and Gay Rights. I saw Drew for the first time at her Walk of Fame ceremony in 2004, which she totally deserves a star on the Walk of Fame. Let me list a few of her many movies. E.T. and Firestarter when she was just a kid, to Never Been Kissed, Charlie's Angels, Poison Ivy as a sexy seductress, 50 First Dates, The Wedding Singer, and most recently, the Netflix show Santa Clarita Diet, and so many more. I got one shot of Drew with her boyfriend Fabrizio from the band The Strokes. It was kind of behind the scenes before the ceremony started. Here's the picture. We'll talk more about Fabrizio later. Let me just say I'm not a fan of his. Drew was obviously polite and nice to everyone, being like a red carpet event in her honor. Later that year, Drew wasn't so polite as she was leaving Mr. Chow restaurant with talk show host Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy and Drew left Mr. Chow's separately, making me think that the two were hooking up. Look at her hiding in the front seat. Why would she be hiding like that? Not wanting people to see her with Jimmy? Question mark? Jimmy didn't seem to care, though, about getting his picture taken. Here he is, kind of hamming it up. They ended up going to a nightclub after the restaurant. Drew hid behind her friend, but you can see Jimmy in the background as the two left the nightclub. Drew looks completely miserable here. Drew hid in the back seat and Jimmy rides shotgun. There weren't any rumors about Jimmy and Drew dating, so I don't know why Drew was being so difficult. The two were filming the movie Fever Pitch around this time, so that is probably why they were together. An interesting little fact I just found out recently is that Jimmy married Drew's producing partner at Flower Films a few years after this picture was taken. They apparently fell in love during the filming of Fever Pitch, which makes me think that Jimmy and Drew probably never had anything going on. Drew gave me mixed signals on my next few encounters with her. In 2005 at Koi Restaurant, she gave a smile, but also the no pictures sign as she drives off. She was going with an all-black goth look that night. Then I saw her a couple times in 2006 at Il Soleil Restaurant. The first time she gave me a wave and a smile, which was very nice. And the next time she just kind of ignored me, which is also fine. Then at Sushi Roku, also in 2006, she tried to sneak out the alley behind the restaurant. She pretty much just went about her business as she walked to her car, even giving a little smile, which was cool of her. Then in 2006, also at Sushi Roku, I ran into Drew with boyfriend and Strokes drummer Fabrizio Moretti. Fabrizio turns his back on me in this shot, while Drew doesn't seem to care about having her picture taken. You can see Fabrizio not appreciating me taking the photo. Fabrizio yelled at me and talked down to me during this encounter. He gave me the "why don't you get a real job" speech, which is pretty funny coming from a rock star drummer. He continued to yell at me as he and Drew drove off. You can see Fabrizio talking shit to me and giving me dirty looks in these pictures. It might be unfair of me to hold Drew responsible for the actions of her a-hole boyfriend, but she's the one who picked him. Drew would discover for herself that he was an a-hole when the couple broke up a few months later. The couple dated on and off for about 5 years, breaking up for good in 2007. In 2008, Drew was leaving Villa nightclub with new boyfriend Justin Long. I like Justin a lot more than Fabrizio. He seemed like a good guy. I actually talked with him outside the clubs on a couple occasions. He's best known for movies Waiting, Dodgeball, Galaxy Quest, and Live Free or Die Hard. On this night, Drew again did not want her picture taken. She tried to hide behind Justin and security as she walked through the mob of paparazzi. Once in the car, she again resorted to ducking down in the passenger seat and hiding her face. Drew looks completely miserable here, again. So you people who want to be famous, take a look at Drew. It doesn't look like she's enjoying her fame very much. I'll give Drew a break on this one. There were probably about 20 paparazzi blasting her, and they were aggressive. She really seems to dislike big crowds of paparazzi, and I guess I can't blame her for that. Justin has a hard time seeing with the camera flashes as the couple takes off. Check out Drew's footwear that night. I'm not a fashion expert, but I thought socks and sandals were a big fashion no-no. At this point during our encounters, Drew has been a little unpredictable and somewhat moody. That being said, Drew was never downright rude. My final 2 encounters with Drew were both good ones. My next encounter with Drew was in 2008. I was standing outside the Chateau Marmont Hotel looking for celebrities when the Gay Rights March passed by on Sunset Boulevard. I started taking pictures of the march. We got someone in a chicken suit, we got some people holding some pretty cool signs, and we got an energetic group here. This was a protest against Prop 8, which would make marriage legal only between a man and a woman. Drew was against this prop. As I'm taking pictures of the march, Drew comes out of the hotel with a friend. Here they are on their way to join the crowd of marchers. I followed Drew down the street, taking pictures of her as she held signs, gave the peace sign, posed with people, and chanted. She seemed to be having a really good time. Check this out. Drew has a tongue ring. I never noticed that before. You learn something new every day, folks. Drew was more than happy to have me taking pictures of her that night because it would raise awareness for the issue. I followed her until the march ended, where I photographed her giving a speech. She had a huge crowd around her. Check out this crowd. She gave an impassioned speech using a megaphone. After it was over, I headed back to the hotel, where Drew eventually returned. I took her picture as she returned to the hotel, getting out of a cab. I said to her, "Great job." She smiled at me and said, "You too." I'm like, what? Wow, me and Drew finally bonded. The people of California actually voted yes on Prop 8, which meant gay marriage was not legal in California. But it was thankfully overturned 2 years later in 2010. Good job, Drew, and good job, people of California. I saw Drew one last time in 2009 with Justin Long outside the Green Day concert at the Henry Fonda Theater. I got a call she was at the theater and had a hunch she was going to sneak out the back door. While I was in the back, a small group of paparazzi was waiting in the front. As she came out with Justin Long, I got some shots of the happy couple. Then, Drew stopped in the middle of the street and said, "Do you like my outfit?" as she giggled. She was wearing a weird rock and roll 80s outfit, and she seemed like she had a few drinks inside of her. After I got the shots, I noticed they were looking for a cab, but there were none around. I decided to help them find transportation for 2 reasons. One, I wanted to help Drew for giving me such a good fashion shot. And, more importantly, I didn't want the other photographers in the front of the theater to get any pictures of her. The more photographers who have the same shots, the less money a photo is worth. Just as Justin and I found a cab, a couple of photographers started running towards us. I tried to hurry them into the cab, but it was too late. The other paparazzi got some shots, but I had the only shot of her posing and smiling. Luckily, that would be the photo all the magazines used on their fashion pages. Here's a couple shots from Us Weekly and In Touch. Drew got in trouble with the fashion police from Us Weekly a couple different times, and she had some fashion trauma from In Touch Weekly. That's okay, Drew. I still like your outfit. I learned a couple things about Drew that night that I didn't know. One, she has a bird tattoo on her arm. And she has a cigarette in her hand, which means Drew smokes. I know she smoked when she was a teenager in her early 20s, but I didn't think she was smoking in 2009. Shocking. Drew and Justin would eventually break up. After that, she married art consultant Will Kopelman, had 2 daughters with him, and then they divorced. Drew might be a little unpredictable and moody, but I believe she is a good person with a big heart. I'll always remember all the late nights and fighting for gay rights with Drew Barrymore. Alright, that's it for Drew Barrymore episode. If you guys have not subscribed, you can do so now by pushing that little button there to the left. That will get you subscribed to this YouTube channel. I got a bunch of great episodes coming up about my encounters with Britney Spears, David and Victoria Beckham, boy bands, and an episode about drunk celebrities. So please subscribe and check out some of the old episodes too. There's a bunch of episodes up already. You can see Leo DiCaprio, Bruce Willis, Avril Lavigne, Jack Nicholson, Brittany Murphy. So yeah, please subscribe. And the next episode is about child stars of the 70s and 80s, which Drew was a child star of the 70s and 80s. So we're going to check out some other child stars from the 70s and 80s. I'll tell you about my encounters with them on the next episode. Thanks for watching, everybody.